The Darien Foundation was founded in 1998 by Richard and Maureen Chilton, and the thesis behind that founding was to bring technology to the Darien public school systems. And that launched us, and that got us going, and through technology and capital project initiatives, we've now funded over $5.5 million over the last 24 years to build a better Darien.
Our board really likes to get involved and assist the partners that we collaborate with, whether it's a grant for a youth project or a grant from a community service, schools, the police. Often they come to us with ideas that we help them bring to fruition.
The Darien Foundation recently awarded the Darien Police Department 2 grants. One was for laser shot and the other for Faro technology. Laser shot technology is based on decision making. It may come down to using their firearm, but in reality, we would like them to talk the situation down where you use less lethal force, and this program allows us to do that.
Police, drop the gun!
Faro technology gives us a 360-degree view, catching all the points we need to catch in our accident scene. It also takes a lot less time. This allows us to open up roads, get traffic flowing a lot quicker than we ever used to be able to. We can also map the inside of buildings. We can use it at outdoor crime scenes, indoor crime scenes. It's really used for a plethora of investigations. It's a tool that most other departments may not have their hands on just yet, and thanks to the Darien Foundation, we have that technology.
At Home in Darien is a nonprofit organization that helps senior citizens to remain living independently in their home and in the community. We provide important services to help them do so, such as transportation. Thanks to the Darien Foundation, we have this amazing new van, and we are so excited about it and what it'll do for the community.
From all standpoints, this is going to be a real improvement in the services we provide, both in terms of safety and comfort. The Darien Foundation is important to the community in the scope that they reach out to answer needs.
Post 53 is the town's ambulance service. We respond to over 1,600 emergency calls a year. We're a vital service that has been here for 51 years. The technology upgrades provided by the Darien Foundation has been a game changer for us. It's allowed us to improve our training. It has helped us hone our skills. You don't know how important an ambulance is until you actually need it. Thanks to our partnership with the Darien Foundation, who's provided all this technology and several grants throughout the years, we're able to continue to be prepared, to be well-trained and well-staffed, to respond 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, whenever you need it.
The Darien Foundation is really excited to be able to launch a new program for the Darien schools, which will benefit students K through 12 in all 7 schools. This is the new robotics program, which will be an extracurricular opportunity for students to build robots, compete against other leagues, and collaborate together.
Our robotics program is going to benefit students in so many ways. In regular classes, students are always looking for the right answer, that there's only one way to answer something. Robotics is completely different. In robotics, you learn that there are multiple solutions to every problem. You learn that you have these obstacles that you have to overcome. You have to really be a creative problem solver. And most importantly, you need to persevere.
Early on in the process, the Darien Foundation reached out to administration and the offer to provide funding for a project, and it just dovetailed beautifully to the goals of the strategic plan. I look forward to continue to work closely with the Darien Foundation, both on this project and other projects down the line.
We welcome ideas for possible grants. We'd like to do grants that promote and strengthen our community. Sometimes it's from an organization, sometimes it's from our emergency service partners, or it's from the Darien Public Schools. One of our most popular grants, which was the Playground by the Sound, came to us from 4 Darien moms who said, let's get together and figure out how to build this.
Thanks to the generosity of our board members and officers, every dollar you give to the Darien Foundation goes directly to the grants that we're supporting. I invite all of you to help us move our community further and support the Darien Foundation.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Jack Casagrande Field here at Brien McMahon High School. And as the sun sets on this beautiful evening, we get ready to kick off this FCIAC Girls Lacrosse Semifinal between the Darien Blue Wave and the Wilton Warriors, what is a highly anticipated matchup. And as just before we get to the draw here, Parker, I'm joined alongside by Parker and John. Just before we get into the draw here, what does this Darien squad have to do here today, specifically on the offensive side, in order to win this game?
Darien's going to have to move the ball super fast. They're going to want to cut and make sure they get shots on net. We haven't seen them do as well as past years in the offensive zone, so they're really going to have to find their flow and work together as a team to score.
So Darien winning that first draw as Stafford takes it up the field.
Yeah, and I think that draw circle is going to be probably one of the biggest parts of this game, right? Because it gives you possession, but it gives you momentum too as well. And that draw, when you win it, you can immediately transition into the offensive zone. You kind of control the pace of play with that face-off win. Whereas if you lose that draw, you know, you're back on defense, you're retreating, you have to play defensively as well. So great win by Stafford to start things off for the Blue Wave.
Yeah, not to mention the nerves in this game. Darien recently lost to Wilton for the first time in many years, and they're going to want to come back and beat Wilton, while Wilton's going to want to stay up and make it to the finals as well.
Yeah, the last time Wilton Warriors made it to the finals, they did lose to the Darien squad back in 2018, I believe. So they're looking for a little bit of revenge as they try to make their way to play New Canaan in the FCIAC final. And an early free position here for the Blue Wave. It looks like Kelly Holmes is going to take it. And she's going to back out of that one, going to set up the offense for the Blue Wave. She's going to give it off behind at X, now to Picorni.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I was a part of the last game just watching New Canaan Greenwich, and a lot of times from that 8-meter mark, they pull it out.
That one's going to be saved.
Yeah, but they decide to set up the offense instead of go in, knife their way inside for the shot. Obviously, you talk about offensive talent on all four of the teams in the semifinal. It's outrageous the amount of commits that they have, but just the amount of good offensive talent. And it's been interesting to see that teams just want to kind of win the possession battle.
Around, and she's going to score a goal. And speaking of big offenses, Darien's going to get on the board really early here with Picorni putting one behind the net and giving Darien an early 1-0 lead.
Yeah, great momentum by Darien in this first quarter. We haven't seen them start off super strong, but I mean, like last game we saw, New Canaan didn't really start off strong, and it really just came to the end and how they really pushed through. We're going to want to see Darien continue to do this if they want to pull out the win.
What a start there for the Blue Wave, for the sophomore Cameron Picorni. You mentioned she's been a big part of this Blue Wave offense, both this year and last year. You know, in that FCIAC championship against New Canaan, going back a while back, you know, she won a lot of the draws for the Blue Wave. So you'll see the Blue Wave coach Lindley put in Picorni to the draw circle when things aren't going as well. But great job for Picorni. Get the offense started for the Blue Wave early. A great start.
Yeah, Picorni definitely a young bright spot on this team as Wilton now wins the draw.
And on Wilton, as we transition into their offense, right, look for Addison Patillo, number 16. She'll have the ball in the stick of herself for most of this game. Patillo, probably one of the best players in Fairfield County, but one of the best players in the country. And Patillo's kind of the settlement, like the best player on this Wilton team, and she carries the offense at some points as well.
So now here we go. Wilton's going to set up their offense as they try to respond. Passed up top.
It'll also be interesting, right, if Patillo scores one, maybe gets a couple of assists. We'll see if Darien decides to face guard her. You know, that's a tactic by Coach Lindley that she employs a lot of times against really the best offensive player on the opponent. So we'll see what she decides to do in terms of stopping Patillo if things don't go as planned. But so far, this Blue Waves defense looking strong to start off the FCIAC semifinal.
Yeah, I mean, Patillo is a very versatile player. Darien's going to want to keep switching their defense, finding her weakness. Looks like they're starting in backer, but who knows what they could do as the game progresses.
Wilton had a look inside there. That one, Darien defense going to stop that one. So Wilton forced to reset here. Patillo gives it off. Now cut towards the goal. And that one's going to be stopped up, and that's going to be a penalty right inside the arc. And so that's going to set up the free position.
And free positions, right? It's almost like a free throw in basketball, especially this free position for Biella. Rose Biella the sophomore. Big free position. She goes in,
Yellow
works her way
through.
inside, and a big save from Shudell.
Shudell with the big save there, and so she's going to pass it right back out as Darien looks to move very quickly here as they're already over the 30-yard line. As that's Holmes. Now over behind at X is Adams. Adams over to Reynolds. Reynolds looking inside, decides to give it back out.
I know you mentioned this earlier, but kind of settling those nerves early on in this game, right, Parker? In a big playoff environment in the FCIAC, a semifinal game, the beginning of the game is really key to tell the story. So far, although we didn't see it in the last game, kind of settling those nerves early on is a big part of this game, and the Blue Wave have done a good job of just settling down, right, playing their game.
And Safford tries to make a move towards the net, and she's going to be fouled, so that's going to set her up right at the top of the arc with a big free position for the Blue Wave.
The Duke commit, free position, 8-meter mark for Stafford.
Stafford goes in, shot, and that one's going to be wide, covered by New Canaan at X. Now given off.
Yeah, this is when we start to see this back and forth game that we were expecting. Both teams come out strong and really want the ball because this possession is key. So we're going to see Darien turn over the ball, and we're going to see Wilton turn over the ball.
And they're going to get unnecessary contact there on the Blue Wave, so that's going to keep the Wilton possession going.
Yeah, and also another thing to make note of, I think a big part of this game is going to be the player that each respective team has in between the pipes. For the Blue Wave, you got Hope Shudell, and then for the Warriors, you have Jane Hughes inside the net, and that's going to be a goalie battle. Obviously, Shudell's committed to Duke, but starting in that goalie, right, making key saves early on, and then transitioning from defense to offense is going to be big for both of these teams. Shudell's doing a great job early on, and then on the other side, Hughes had a big stop as well.
So now Patillo with it at the top. Patillo's going to give it off. Swung back around. Now at X. Now we're nearly intercepted there by Safford. Going inside now, and that's going to be another penalty here in this one.
Patillo just weaving her way in between the blue jerseys of the Blue Wave there. She's going to get an 8-meter mark, but Patillo deadly dangerous. Here she is. She shoots and scores. Addison Patillo.
Big goal there for Allison Patillo.
Amazing ball control by Addie there. I mean, she really is able to control it close to her head and get an opportunity. That's huge for this type of game.
This game knotted at 1.
Addison Patillo. You see her off the 8-meter mark, take the ball herself, go right past Shudell. Great placement on the shot from Patillo, showing why we talked about her in the opening. Addison Patillo proving why she's Wilton's #1 scoring option and able to tie up the game at 1. 5:25 here remaining in the first quarter.
Now back at the draw here.
That one
popped up
high up in the air as well.
Still a scramble for it. And it looks like the Warriors, or excuse me, it's going to be the Blue Wave who come out with that one. Looks like Anna Von Kennel recovered it and is giving it off. This ball is now at X with Adams. Adams going to find Stafford. Stafford tries to make a quick move towards the net, going to give it off to Reynolds. Reynolds now over to Von Kennel.
Yeah, and one thing too, that's a good indicator of whether or not the Blue Wave offense is working well is the movement of their passes, right? And if they're cohesive, and if you're getting those cuts inside, in towards the crease, right inside. Coach Lindley likes to bunch up her players.
And that one's going to be a goal. Speaking of cuts, Anna Von Kennel made a great cut towards the goal, and Stafford dumped it off to her, and she's going to give the Blue Wave a 2-1 lead.
That's exactly what Darien's going to want to do to continue this game. That was an amazing setup with a great cut by Anna Von Kennel, sophomore, and passed by her captain.
Great response from the Blue Wave here early on. They just gave up a goal, but now they find themselves up yet again. The Blue Wave now up 2-1 here.
Yeah, the Blue Wave, definitely a great response, and even more importantly, a quick response as they extend their lead here.
You're right. Quick responses are important, especially in a game where, you know, a couple minutes can make or break the game. We've seen multiple times this year where both of these teams go on quick scoring runs where they score 5 or 6 goals a quarter, and then they just end up running away with the game. So if you're either of these teams, you can't let that happen.
Yeah, we definitely saw the offenses of both these teams in the quarterfinals. Darien putting up 23 against Staples, and Wilton putting up another 17 against
Ludlow.
Against Ludlow, thank you. Sorry. Wanted to say Richfield there, but Greenwich played Richfield.
You look at, this is probably one of the years where the FCIAC is at its strongest. You mentioned New Canaan, Darien, Wilton, all in the top 10 nationwide, top 10 in the country.
And that one's going to be
the Blue Wave score yet again.
That one's going to be Holmes, Kelly Holmes, senior captain with the goal. And so the Blue Wave going to have another quick strike, and that's going to extend their lead to 3-1.
Looks like these different rounds of plays that Darien has been doing is taking them far on the scoreboard in this first quarter.
Yeah, we definitely seen different looks near the goal for this Blue Wave offense, and maybe just catching that Wilton defense off guard a little bit as they've been able to find the net here for 2 unanswered goals.
Yeah, and it's really important, right, to mix up the looks. I'm sure Parker, you know, mixing up the looks and going at it from different angles, 8-meter marks, whether it's from the top or the sides, and then moving the balls, coming off picks differently. You know, those are things you make adjustments in game. And Coach Lindley saw something early on, changed it up a little bit, started running a couple of different plays, and I'm sure the Blue Wave have a lot of different plays that they can run. That one, another successful one for the Blue Wave.
Yeah, and really these plays confuse the Wilton defense and get them moving, and hard to communicate when this is happening. Wilton's going to want to come together and slow down the offense to find a way up.
So Wilton getting the big draw win there. And just a reminder, you're watching today's coverage of the FCIAC semifinal matchup on the DAF Media Network, joint venture between the Darien Foundation and the Darien Athletic Foundation. I want to thank you for joining us this evening as Darien now will take it with Adams. Gives off to Holmes, back to Adams. Adams now going to go herself, and that one's a shot going to be saved by Jane Hughes.
Man, do these girls turn the corners quickly. We saw it a couple times last game from Lexi Tully, this time from the Blue Wave. You know, just turning those corners quickly, being decisive on whether or not you want the shots. And a lot of these girls have a knack for the ball, right? They like having the ball in their sticks, and they're confident in their abilities. As the Blue Wave transition off the steal, the interception, into another offensive possession.
Yeah, Annabelle Adams is definitely a good player with her stick. She knows how to control the ball, almost familiar to Chloe Humphrey's style of play. She's able to find shots that have little to no angles and intercept the ball with her IQ and athleticism.
Yeah, Adams doing a nice job running the length of the field there, getting the hustle, getting the interception, and setting up her team on the offensive side once again, as she'll now have it at X. Over to Picorni now. Reynolds going to swing it up to Stafford. Now to Holmes on the wing. Blue Wave taking their time a little bit more on this possession. This one goes back at the top to Stafford. Von Kennel looking inside. Goes back to Stafford. Stafford going to try herself. Trying to make a move. Wilton defense holding her strong. That one's going to be back to Von Kennel. Von Kennel going to try to use her speed. Stafford now with it. This one thrown inside, and that one's going to be a nice save. The shot from Adams, the save by Hughes.
Another cut inside from the Blue Wave offense. That's what's been working, and Hughes made the point-blank save there. But you talk about the Blue Wave offense, right? And their ability to come off of screens, wiggle their way through defenders, right, and get open. That's one of the best abilities that this Blue Wave offense has, is the ability to just get open whenever they want to. with the plays that they have drawn up and individually. You see it time and time again early on in this first quarter. The first quarter winding down, but Wilton has an opportunity to get one back. They're already down by 2, but a goal here to end the first quarter would be a big one.
Yeah, I mean, we can't forget that Wilton has beat Darien this year, and they know some of their weaknesses, so they're going to want to try to look for that and shoot
cut
through.
Inside. That was definitely a questionable miscall. Didn't call anything, letting the girls play here, but that would have been an 8-meter mark if they would have called that. That would have been a shooting space violation or a tripping violation.
Yeah, laying on the cut inside there, but unable to keep possession as looks like she was tripped up there, but now the Blue Wave with it off the turnover. Holmes needs to get the shot off here. And that one's going to be shot and saved by Hughes. So that'll be the end of the first quarter. Darien Blue Wave 3, Wilton Warriors 1. Very exciting first quarter. Good amount of scoring. And once again, I want to thank you for joining us on today's coverage by DAF Media Network, joint venture between the Darien Foundation and the Darien Athletic Foundation. And we'll join you after this short break.
Are you enjoying this broadcast? If you like what you see on the DAF Media Network, please help support us with a donation. DAF Media is committed to education and broadcast excellence. Your support allows us to keep bringing you high-quality community programming while giving our student volunteer broadcasters hands-on STEM experiential learning of all parts of computer networking and video production. Your donations help pay for equipment, insurance, transportation, and our award-winning advisor, and make these broadcasts possible. To donate, you can scan the Venmo QR code shown here or visit our website at dafmedia.org/donate. The link to donate is also in the description of this YouTube video. For those of you who prefer a more traditional approach, checks can be made payable to DAF Media and mailed to the address shown here. Any donation of $1,000 or more will be recognized as sponsors of our broadcasts for 1 year. Feel free to pause the broadcast to write this down. Thanks for watching and supporting DAF Media.
And welcome back here as we get ready to kick off the second quarter in this FCIAC semifinal matchup between the Darien Blue Wave and Wilton Warriors. And Parker, what did you like about this Darien team, especially in the first quarter on the offensive side as they jumped out to an early lead?
I mean, it was an amazing start by Darien. While the possession was mid, I would say their offense was amazing. They were able to move the ball, make plays, find cuts, and Sadie Stafford was really able to control her offense and make 3 goals happen.
Exactly there. And here comes Darien off the draw, and they're going to get the win. So Stafford with it. She's going to give it off to Holmes, who then pass it over to Von Kennel, who waits for her teammates to get down.
And there's a lot of green grass in front of Holmes, lots of space being given. And I think Wilton needs to tighten up a little bit. I mean, look at the amount of space that each Darien player is getting, and you can't give that amount of space to these talented players. They're so ball dominant, and although they move the ball around frequently, right, they all can take it themselves and go in and score, weave through a couple of defenders.
Yeah, I mean, Darien's got a deep roster, and it's kind of an interesting game of strategy where...
That one's already shot and scored. And Adams finds that space that you were talking about and gets enough of it to get off a shot.
Yeah, I mean, her ability to really just step and find that shot is amazing, especially from that high up on the 8.
What a snipe there from Adams. I mean, picture perfect shot. Went to the other side, I believe. That was the non-stick side.
Yeah, this is where
Hughes there, and Hughes no chance of stopping that one.
I mean, this is where creativity comes in. This sidearm that she chose and the quick release is really just a way to get a goal quick and easy.
Yeah, and that's a big goal to start off this second quarter, right? Just not even a minute in, and the Blue Wave already up by 3, continuing off that, feeding off of that offensive momentum that they built up in that first quarter.
Yeah, look at Darien coming across with 2 possessions on the draw for the start of the second quarter. Wilton's definitely going to want to slow down their momentum to move on with the game.
Yeah, so this Darien team picking up right where they left off as they'll win another draw.
Now, I find this interesting. Do you think that the fact that they lost to Wilton during their last game is really giving them this boost of energy to beat them this early?
It's got to be a motivator. I mean, you lose to a rival, especially it was a heartbreaking loss. They lost 9-8. It wasn't a blowout. It was extremely close, and it always motivates a team, especially in the FCIAC semifinals. But Darien just out-muscling the Warriors here early on. What a shot there from the Blue Wave.
Sadie Stafford with the goal, and she makes her way off the wing right inside, and she finds the back of the net. So 5-1 Blue Wave, as we see it on the replay here.
I mean, is there anything this Darien Blue Wave offense can't do? We saw them attack off the cuts in the first quarter, and now they're just shooting. They're just letting it fly. And it's working out well. 2 goals here early on in this second quarter. But what a change of kind of pace for the Blue Wave offense. Instead of slowing things down, coming off the picks, right? They're just shooting it.
Yeah, I mean, as you can see now, the draw circle has not changed that much for Darien. While it normally does, I mean, they're finding their way and they're continuing to make it happen. While Wilton is going to have to up their game if they're going to want to come up from this 5-1 loss.
Yeah. So seemingly some extra motivation thinking about that loss to Wilton in early May.
Yeah, you got to think, though, if you're the Warriors, you can't let this game get out of hand. You're down by 4 already, but you need a goal here. Stop the bleeding and get some momentum in your favor.
Now Leung with it at the top.
And when was the last time we called Patillo's name? I mean, the Blue Waves defense is just doing a great job of locking off Patillo, and they're gonna force the other offensive weapons on Wilton to beat them, and Wilton's offense hasn't found an answer for the Blue Waves' aggressive defense.
Yes, speaking of their defense, they're gonna get another turnover there.
Yeah, amazing play by Brindley, really able to read their offense. We've seen Darien read their offense and make a couple interceptions so far this game.
So now Von Kennel with it. He's going to give it off to Picorni, who's done an amazing job so far on the draw. As now Von Kennel will get it back at the wing. Von Kennel now, she's going to make her move towards the inside. Has to bail out of it. As she had Wilton defenders crashing to her.
Got to be careful, though, if you're the Wilton defense. Von Kennel makes her drive in the left, and then the whole entire defense shifts to one side of the field. That leaves open opportunities on the other side. If you're able to make that cross kind of field pass, you find an open net probably.
Yeah, I mean, great choice by Von Kennel, though, to not choose to shoot, because Darien is up by so much that they really don't have to rush it right now.
Yeah, definitely don't have to force a shot here, and we're seeing it. But then playing a little slower here as Picorni now looks inside to Adams. Adams, she's going to get knocked hard. Clean hit, they're going to call. So now Holmes with it. So now it's going to go back to Holmes at the wing. He looks inside, decides to just give it up at the top to Adams. Adams over to Stafford.
Now you see the Blue Waves spread out that offense, right? Move the ball around, open up the middle. Look for the cut in the middle by Von Kennel, but then, again, just pull it out, look for the cut again, but kind of spread the wings of the Darien offense.
And that one's going to be an uncharacteristic turnover here for the Blue Wave, as Wilton's going to be on it now. Balilla with it.
Great defense by Wilton, though, really forcing Darien to make the pass and make the mistake to get possession.
And that one's going to be, looks like a timeout by the Warriors. So now they're going to look to make some adjustments here, as about halfway through this second quarter, or a little less than halfway, I should say.
Yeah, and if you're Wilton, right, you have to figure out some adjustments that you can make to transition from defense to offense. You're not going to win this game by playing on defense, of course, because you're not going to be able to score, but the amount of time, the possession discrepancy between the Blue Wave and the Warriors, and you mentioned it was closer in that first quarter, but now in this second quarter, the Blue Wave have just run with what's working, and you see them time and time again, and now that possession starting to move more towards the Blue Wave and just dominating that time of possession battle, wearing down the Wilton Warrior defense.
Yeah, and again, it comes back to what you mentioned earlier, John, was just at the draw circle, Blue Wave have won the majority of those draws, and it's just allowed them to control possession from the start and set up their offense. And once their offense gets set up, as we can see here, it's very hard to stop. They don't miss a lot. So, and their shots are really falling today. Maybe we see just how confident the Blue Wave are feeling as they break the huddle well before the Wilton Warriors.
Definitely an indicator of confidence, but also just energy, right? The Blue Wave have come out here with a lot of energy in this second quarter. Not sure what they did in between the first and second quarter, if they put anything in the Gatorade, but just come out with a lot of energy, broken open this game, right? And now they're up by 4 goals. Like, that lead, it's tough to come back by multiple goals against good teams. I know you saw earlier in the season, right? They were in a toe-to-toe match against St. Anthony's, McDonough, and a couple of the really better teams in the country. But when you go down by a bunch of goals to those tough teams, it's hard to scrap your way back. So the Warriors definitely in a tough situation here, but we'll see what they can do on this offensive possession.
Yeah, Darien definitely prepared for big games like this. As you mentioned, they've had a very impressive resume, losing to McDonough and St. Paul, both top 5 ranked teams in the country, as well as getting wins over teams like St. Anthony.
Yeah, Brindley Vrooman with an amazing turnover, her second, or forced turnover, her second of the game, showing that the Darien defense has come to play, and Patillo's going to have a hard time finding the open net.
Yeah, going back on what you just mentioned, Thomas, the resume of the Warriors this year, although they do have a couple losses in that loss column, they've been battle-tested time and time again. And I think it'll start to show, right, where you lose a couple of the tough games, right? You lose to St. Anthony's 5-4 in double overtime. You lose to McDonough, St. Paul's, a couple of the better teams. But then you tie a team like New Canaan and even the better teams in the FCIAC, where it's tough. You lose a couple of those games, but it prepares you for moments like this, the playoffs, when it really matters.
Yeah, I mean, Darien's done a good job.
That one's going to be a shot inside by, it looks like Hapgood there, as she finds the back of the net and extends the Blue Wave lead.
Just look at the pass inside there. Finds her teammate. That was Hapgood.
Yeah, great pass by Kelly Holmes, and Hope Hapgood going through 3 defenders, really controlling the ball and finding the open shot. That's just proof of 2 amazing players able to work together after 2 years of playing together. 2 or 3.
So now this Blue Wave lead extended to 6-1. And of course, Wilton went down 7-4 in the second half in their win against the Blue Wave earlier in the season. But of course, that was only 3 goals. Now it's 5, but with a little bit more time left in this one. But Wilton going to have to find that same comeback energy here as they have to try to fight their way back in this one.
Not to mention, it's a high-stakes playoff game as well. It's not a regular season game, but both of these teams come in with impressive resumes. Really, all 4 of the teams in the FCIAC semifinals have impressive resume. I know New Canaan was 14-1-1, Greenwich 9-6 with a couple of tough losses, but they came off a win against Richfield, who they lost to earlier in the season. Darien trying to do the same, beat an FCIAC opponent in the semifinals that they lost to earlier in the season. But all these teams, really these top programs in the country, we're seeing it time and time again here as a shot there, saved by Shudell.
Yeah, looks like that one might have gone off the post too. And so a big stop there for the Blue Wave defense, as these Wilton Warriors just can't quite get it going, as now Von Kennel using her speed. And she's going to go off to Holmes. Holmes decides to bail out of the shot.
They had a little bit of a 5-on-4 break, decided to kind of settle things down. No rush, no need to take the shot, miss, and then give possession right back to Wilton. So they're just going to settle things down But let's talk about the accuracy of the Blue Wave shots tonight, right? It seems like everything they throw either hits the net, hits the goalie, but we haven't seen anything that has really missed the net by more than a couple inches.
Yeah, I mean, amazing players up and down the bench, but also on the field. Looks like they've really put in their work after losing to Wilton and really made sure that they wanted to hit the net this game.
So now Kennel, she's going to get fouled right just outside the arc.
That'll be great positioning up top for the Blue Wave on the 8-meter mark.
And here comes Von Kennel inside. She's going to shoot, and that one's going to be saved. And the ball's still loose. And now whistle blows, and that one's going to be in favor of the Wilton Warriors. Great stop there by Hughes, as now she's going to be pressured outside her crease.
Hughes has got to be careful, though, with the space that she has to cover, knows she has to make up. She was really far outside of the crease there, guarded by the 3 Blue Wave defenders, and they would have picked up the ball, and the net would have been wide open if they didn't call the violation there.
So here comes Deneen with it. She's going to give it off. Now Patillo gives it off. This one's going to be at X. And swung around. Wilton trying to find cutters inside. And pass inside. That one's going to be deflected and picked up by the Blue Wave.
Now, what I find interesting is the choice of defense that Darien's choosing right now. It looks like they're in backer, making sure to keep high pressure on the player with the ball and allowing players in the back to help slide. While Wilton has chosen to stay on man, where maybe if they come into the second half and want to switch something, because it seems like Darien has been finding an easy way to get through them and score these 6 goals that they have.
You know what's surprising, though, for me in terms of the way this game has gone is Wilton has only used 1 of their 3 timeouts. You mentioned the amount of goals that they gave up consecutively. You would have expected head coach Meredith Adamicki to call maybe 1 or even both of her other 2 remaining timeouts and kind of just settle things down, but instead she's just letting the girls play.
Yeah, and we've definitely seen in Darien past when they're kind of down or not playing as well in the first half, Lisa will stop the play and she'll make sure to group her players and make sure they slow down the movements in the defensive and offensive zone, where we haven't seen many timeouts from her since they're doing very well at the start of this game.
Yeah, maybe Coach Adamicki just trying to let her squad try to find the groove in this game, as here comes Stafford with it. She's going to give it off to Holmes.
Darien offense producing like a well-oiled machine here in the first half, scoring 6 goals and very close to 100% shooting accuracy. A couple of saves from Hughes, but really getting everything past Hughes early on. And they're just going to wait. I believe that they'll wait for the last possession. You know, a minute 45 seconds left. They're in no rush. They're probably going to wait for the last offensive possession of this first half.
Yeah, Blue Wave definitely just trying to milk what's left of this clock out. Just 90 seconds to go. Stafford now is going to take it. She's going to shoot, and that was going to be saved, but Darien's going to recover with Von Kennel. Von Kennel, she tries to go in, and she's going to get fouled, they're going to call. And so that's going to be a card for Bilella, and she's going to exit the game.
Yeah, we've seen Darien use the crease to their advantage, really making sure to keep the ball moving and keep running around it while still choosing to move around and not choose to shoot, which is a very good choice.
So now Von Kennel will have it with the free position. And once again, this Blue Wave, as he just tried to milk out this clock, she's just going to give it out to Stafford, who then swings it back around.
It looks like they're trying to wrap around that right side of the net. You haven't seen them wrap around the left side, but that right side. They really love turning that corner and then taking the shot. Most of them are righty dominant, as you mentioned, but they use both sides of the stick. They just like that, prefer that right side. And the Blue Wave also getting a lot of 8-meter marks here. I mean, Wilton has had no more than 1 or 2 8-meter marks, and that's a big indicator of offensive production.
Yeah, so this time Von Kennel's going to take it. She shoots. That one's going to hit the post. And Von Kennel looks a little shaken up on the play.
You know what I find interesting is in the past years, Darien has run their offense around left side of the crease, like Chloe Humphrey with left strong, and I guess Annabelle Adams also left strong, wrapping around left side. So it's interesting to see them more on the right side of the crease now.
And so Von Kennel's, she's going to be okay. As now Wilton will regain possession here. Once again, you're watching today's coverage on the DAF Media Network, joint venture between the Darien Foundation and the Darien Athletic Foundation. We appreciate you guys at home for joining us this evening. So here comes Matterson. So Masterson's still with it.
45 seconds left. Wilton, definitely enough time to run an offensive set, get an offensive quality look for the Warriors. Try to claw their way back into this game, already down by 5, but an opportunity to maybe make it 4 if they can net one here against the talented Hope Shudell.
So now Patillo with it. She's going to give it off. Definitely a big final 15 seconds here for the Warriors as they try to get into this one and get some momentum coming out of the half.
And again, watch how once Patillo touches the ball, right, that Blue Wave defense, they all lock eyes on Patillo.
And that one's going to be turned over. And that was going to be now intercepted here by Liang. Liang's going to shoot, and that one's going to go wide. So a couple of consecutive turnovers there by each team. But your score remains at halftime 6-1 in favor of the Blue Wave. And John and Parker, what did you like from the Blue Wave team, and what do you think Wilton needs to fix going into the second half?
I mean, I definitely like the offense from Darien. They were able to move the ball quick and really find cuts and find those shots on net. Where Wilton, I think their nerves are almost too strong, where they came in with too much knowledge that they were going to win, where hopefully the sun going down and the breeze coming out will cool their nerves and help them move into the second half.
Yeah, and I think that the Warriors need to transition into moving the ball around a little bit more. It seems like they're playing a little bit too kind of ISO ball. You know, Patillo's got to be able to have opportunities, players coming off of cuts, giving her looks, options to pass the ball, move the way, instead of just being doubled and then forcing it back up high. But the Blue Wave defense really surprising me so far, and just how well they've played fundamentally sound lacrosse, and it shows in the score.
Yeah, so definitely a big half here for the Blue Wave. And Wilton going to need to make adjustments, but we will join you back for second half action after this short break.
The Darien Foundation was founded in 1998 by Richard and Maureen Chilton, and the thesis behind that founding was to bring technology to the Darien public school systems. And that launched us, and that got us going, and through technology and capital project initiatives, we've now funded over $5.5 million over the last 24 years to build a better Darien.
Our board really likes to get involved and assist the partners that we collaborate with, whether it's a grant for a youth project or a grant from a community service, schools, the police. Often they come to us with ideas that we help them bring to fruition.
The Darien Foundation recently awarded the Darien Police Department 2 grants. One was for laser shot and the other for Faro technology. Laser shot technology is based on decision making. It may come down to using their firearm, but in reality, we would like them to talk the situation down where you use less lethal force, and this program allows us to do that.
Police, drop the gun!
Faro technology gives us a 360-degree view, catching all the points we need to catch in our accident scene. It also takes a lot less time. This allows us to open up roads, get traffic flowing a lot quicker than we ever used to be able to. We can also map the inside of buildings. We can use it at outdoor crime scenes, indoor crime scenes. It's really used for a plethora of investigations. It's a tool that most other departments may not have their hands on just yet, and thanks to the Darien Foundation, we have that technology.
At Home in Darien is a nonprofit organization that helps senior citizens to remain living independently in their home and in the community. We provide important services to help them do so, such as transportation. Thanks to the Darien Foundation, we have this amazing new van, and we are so excited about it and what it'll do for the community.
From all standpoints, this is going to be a real improvement in the services we provide, both in terms of safety and comfort. The Darien Foundation is important to the community in the scope that they reach out to answer needs.
Post 53 is the town's ambulance service. We respond to over 1,600 emergency calls a year. We're a vital service that has been here for 51 years. The technology upgrades provided by the Darien Foundation has been a game changer for us. It's allowed us to improve our training. It has helped us hone our skills. You don't know how important an ambulance is until you actually need it. Thanks to our partnership with the Darien Foundation, who's provided all this technology and several grants throughout the years, we're able to continue to be prepared, to be well-trained and well-staffed, to respond 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, whenever you need it.
The Darien Foundation is really excited to be able to launch a new program for the Darien schools, which will benefit students K through 12 in all 7 schools. This is the new robotics program, which will be an extracurricular opportunity for students to build robots, compete against other leagues, and collaborate together.
Our robotics program is going to benefit students in so many ways. In regular classes, students are always looking for the right answer, that there's only one way to answer something. Robotics is completely different. In robotics, you learn that there are multiple solutions to every problem. You learn that you have these obstacles that you have to overcome. You have to really be a creative problem solver. And most importantly, you need to persevere.
Early on in the process, the Darien Foundation reached out to administration and the offer to provide funding for a project, and it just dovetailed beautifully to the goals of the strategic plan. I look forward to continue to work closely with the Darien Foundation, both on this project and other projects down the line.
We welcome ideas for possible grants. We'd like to do grants that promote and strengthen our community. Sometimes it's from an organization, sometimes it's from our emergency service partners, or it's from the Darien Public Schools. One of our most popular grants, which was the Playground by the Sound, came to us from 4 Darien moms who said, let's get together and figure out how to build this.
Thanks to the generosity of our board members and officers, every dollar you give to the Darien Foundation goes directly to the grants that we're supporting. I invite all of you to help us move our community further and support the Darien Foundation.
Welcome back here on the DAF Media Network for second half action in this girls lacrosse semifinal between the Darien Blue Wave and Wilton Warriors. Just a quick reminder, you are watching today's coverage on the DAF Media Network, joint venture between Darien Foundation, the Darien Athletic Foundation, as we get ready to take the opening draw of the second half.
Yeah, Darien switching up. Looks like we got Kat Wren on the draw.
So this one still being skirmished for, and Wilton's going to come out with that one. Big opening draw for the Warriors. So now Masterson is going to give it off. So Phelan with it now. Phelan looking over to Masterson. Now giving off to Patillo. To Leung.
Big offensive possession for the Warriors right now. You're down 6-1, but start of a new half, right? New game, you're down by 5, but you got a lot of time to get back into this thing. And a good start here for the Warriors.
So now an early second half free position here for the Wilton Warriors. As Addison Patillo now with it.
You got to think Patillo is going to shoot, right?
Yeah,
no need
definitely
to pass the ball. Good positioning on the 8-meter mark. She drives in, she shoots, and checked from behind. Ball goes out of bounds. Blue Wave get possession. And a great defensive stop for the Blue Wave.
Yeah, what an amazing check by Sadie Stafford there. Quick check down and up, and make sure not to foul when it's very hard not to.
So this Blue Wave defense picking up right where they left off, making another huge stop and setting up their offense here to extend their lead as Adams now has it at X. So the Blue Wave definitely in no rush here as they open up this second half with a 5-goal lead. So here comes Reynolds with it. Now given to Picorni. Picorni, she's going to make a move towards the inside. Gives it off to Reynolds. Reynolds now has it. She gives it to Von Kennel. Von Kennel over to Stafford. That one's going to be turned over, it looks like. Or now it's going to be a foul on the Warriors, so Stafford will keep it for the Blue Wave as this one gets swung back over to Picorni, and now Reynolds.
Again, the Blue Wave, right, just taking their time. No need to push it. A little bit of give-and-go game from a couple of the girls, moving the ball around, really covering the entire field, just looking, waiting for an opening to open in the defense of the Warriors.
So now they found another opening here off this free position. And Stafford now will have it. Stafford now goes inside. She's going to bail out of it.
Yeah, this is where we're going to want to see Darien only take shots where they know it's going to go in. There's no need to rush with this 6-1 head up, and they really don't have to do too much to keep the ball going.
So Warriors nearly get a turnover there as they had a nice check on the ball, but Stafford going to have a heads-up play and recover. So here comes Von Kennel. Von Kennel trying to go down the center. He's going to get pushed out.
Yeah, the Blue Wave offense has definitely been very selective, right, of the shots they're taking, the passes they're making, and they're really just operating efficiently, but also extremely with high intelligence.
And that one's going to be
shot. That one almost
shot.
Slides into the net, and it does. No, it doesn't.
No, and they're going to say it never crossed the line. So that was a great pass inside to Stafford, but looks like it may have gone off the ground, maybe hit the crossbar in the process. It stayed out.
It looked like Hughes almost kicked it in almost with the stick or the foot.
Yeah, I mean, can we just talk about Jane Hughes in net today? She has gotten a lot of shots on net, and while 6 have gone in, she's made many saves.
So Hughes with what looks like another big save there. As the Warriors will maintain possession. So Masterson going to give it off. Now swung over.
Look at the ability of this Blue Wave defense to slide, though, right? Cover when one of the Wilton girls gets past the defender, one of the attackers, right? They just slide right over, cover,
Pass
for
inside.
each other, and another great defensive play from the Blue Wave.
And that one's going to be called on Safford for the foul. So Patillo nearly had a chance inside, but now will have a chance at the top of the arc. So now Patillo, she's going to go inside, and that was going to be a goal for the Wilton Warriors as they strike first here in the second half.
Hopefully for Wilton, this is going to be the momentum that they needed coming into the second half. They're going to want to keep going with these goals, and Patillo's going to want to keep leading her offense to the higher number.
Addison Patillo gets her first point on the night off the 8-meter mark, which you see on the replay. Put it right past Shudell. Can't give an opportunity like that to someone of the caliber of Patillo, but we are waiting for the first quarter, or first half, to call her name at least once, whether it was an assist, a pass, kind of a draw control, something, and now she's finally waking up, but the Darien defense has done a great job of locking her up, but that's the momentum for the Blue Wave.
Yeah, Patillo definitely one of the players to watch coming into this one. She finally gets on the board here, as now another draw will go to the Wilton Warriors. So definitely a better offensive start for the Warriors in this second half.
Yeah, I mean, just like we saw in the last semifinal game, New Canaan didn't start off as well, but here they went and were able to pick it up in the second half and find their win. Maybe Wilton might see the same opportunity.
New Canaan scored 5 unanswered goals in the first semifinal to take the victory 9-6 over Greenwich. The winner of this game will face off against New Canaan on Wednesday. As the Blue Wave, the shot just a little bit wide left.
Adams trying to bounce that one in. As Von Kennel did a great job using her speed to get it down and try to set up the move and goal for Adams. But that one just a little bit wide. So once again, the Blue Wave offense will settle down. So here comes Stafford. Stafford pass it inside. And Reynolds, that was a great save there by Hughes. As Reynolds found the space in the middle with the shot.
Yeah, Reynolds wide open in the middle, found a little bit of a pocket, received the pass, but a great save by Hughes. But if that's the looks, if those are the looks you're going to be getting, you're the Blue Wave, you're happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, just more proof that the goalie, it comes down to the goalie, and Hughes really showing that she's not going to stop as this game progresses on.
Yeah, definitely. We emphasize the caliber of these goalies at the top of this broadcast, and that definitely showing forth through as Adams going to squeak that one past Hughes and find the net once again for the Blue Wave. So they're going to respond here, but officials actually going to talk this one over first.
Yeah, I mean, as you can see from the replay, great play by Annabelle Adams, using her shoulder to back off the defender and turning the ball in close to her head to lose the other one to get a good shot off.
Definitely interesting to see. The referees were conversing, and now the referee going over to head coach Lisa Lindley talking it over.
Yeah, it definitely looks like this is a controversial goal. Well, we've got parents on the sideline yelling both ways.
And they're going to call it a goal for the Blue Wave.
The Blue Wave bench erupts once they make that call. The premium at a goal in a game like this, right? The goals are there's so much value in each goal. Now the Blue Wave's up 7-2-2.
So the Blue Wave extend their lead back to 5.
Not entirely sure what the debate on whether or not that should have been a goal was. Parker, do you have anything in terms of what they might have been talking about for the referees?
Maybe shooting space. I saw that as a goal just looking at it from up here, but I guess maybe with the sidearm she might have been somewhat in shooting space.
Yeah, she was definitely outside the crease there. So not a crease violation for Adams, but either way.
Yeah, I mean, the way shooting space is called is the head of the stick is where the line is drawn from. So maybe the way she moves her arm far off is she maybe hit part of the player somewhat. But looks like the ref saw it as a goal.
So now after after the referee sort everything out and give the explanation to both sides. We're able to get back on the draw circle here.
Yeah, this is where Wilton's going to really want to stop the goals going against, and so they really tried hard for that one not to go against them.
Yeah, and if you're the Warriors, those draw circles are going to get more and more important as this game progresses. If they already weren't important enough, right now you're moving towards the end. You're about halfway through this third quarter, but you have to get the offense going right now. You have to have some consistent offense. You can't score one and then give up one. You need to go on a little bit of a hot streak.
So Wilton winning their third draw in this second half, but unfortunately have been unable to find the net off of the offense possessions. As Masterson, or excuse me, Patillo is going to take it. As Masterson now gives it off inside. As she makes the cut and unable to find Masterson inside, and so the Blue Wave going to force another turnover.
Masterson trying to play the give and go game with Patillo there, not able to receive the second pass after she sent it over to Patillo, but she was cutting and she had definitely a good look. If she was able to receive the pass, she would have had definitely some shooting space to take the shot.
Yeah, one thing that's been an advantage for Darien is the 50-50 balls down in their defensive zone. They're truly able to have the stick skills to pick up the ball quick, just like Isabella Lini, number 16, did there.
So Blue Wave back on offense here with Stafford. Stafford going to make a quick move towards the goal. Pass it inside to Adams. Adams going to get knocked off her feet as the Wilton defense makes a stop.
And Adams now out hustling the Wilton attacker. And that's number 15, Maddie Deneen, weaving through a couple of Darien defenders, now settles it down for the Warriors, settling into the offensive possession, one that they desperately need some production on.
So now, after that great effort by Deneen, the Blue Wave are going to force the turnover. And Vrooman's going to give it off.
Yeah, one of Brindley Vrooman, almost defensive player of the game. She's been having a lot of forced turnovers and playing very well, being able to pick up the ball from the offensive Wilton players and get it quickly up to have a running start for Darien.
And it's going to be a timeout, Blue Wave, as Coach Lindley would like to talk something over to her squad as the third quarter ticks to an end. And with this break, we are going to take a break ourselves, and we will join you back for the rest of third quarter action here at Jack Casagrande Field. We'll see you after this break.
Media, a joint venture between the Darien Foundation and the Darien Athletic Foundation. The production is staffed by student and adult volunteers from the town of Darien and southwestern Connecticut.
So welcome back to the DAF Media Network as we get ready to kick off the last 3 minutes here in the third quarter between the Darien Blue Wave and Wilton Warriors. Darien up 7-2 as they will maintain the offensive possession here out of the break.
No rush for the patient, potent Blue Wave offense, right? Just no need to really try to score a goal here. Obviously, you're always trying to net one, but you could just kind of settle things down. There's no shot clock in the women's game, which is definitely something that's being talked about in Connecticut high school lacrosse. I know the Blue Wave, when they traveled up to St. Anthony's in McDonough, some of the New York teams, they played with a shot clock as Darien scores yet again.
Kelly Holmes with the move inside and the goal. And so whatever Coach Lindley drew up out of the break obviously worked, as Darien's going to extend their lead from 7-2 to 8-2.
Yeah, what a play by Kelly Holmes, really weaving through every defensive player that she passes. I think that was like 3. Finishing with a great placement shot.
Holmes gets to the spot that she wants to. She fires and scores there. Makes it 8-2. A completely different script than the first time these teams met.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to think that both teams will, whoever wins will end up playing New Canaan, which they both didn't get the win that they wanted, where Darien tied and Wilton lost.
So now Wilton going to end up maintaining possession off the draw. The officials just are talking something over here. Not quite sure what they're trying to sort out here, but
maybe something with the clock.
Maybe they think someone's offsides or something.
Or someone's offsides as well. Maybe just trying to make sure they get the call right. You know, these referees do such a great job in every single game that they ref, but especially in these big games, you really don't want to mess anything up in the semifinals, the championships of the conference tournaments. You really can't afford, you have no room to make an error, so you have to be careful. And they're just making sure that they go through everything and they're in agreement, all 3 of them.
Yeah, I mean, definitely competitive game, but people on the sideline are also yelling at them for whatever they call for their side. So refs definitely have it hard and are doing a very good job.
Yeah, refs doing a great job here as they sort this one out and get the right call. As here comes Patilla with it. He's going to give it off to Bilella. Bilella trying to work through the Darien defense. Over to Leung. Leung trying to look inside. And she's going to be fouled.
That'll be a 12-meter mark for Leung. She's going to have to help the Wilton Warriors set up an offense here. 1 minute and 35 seconds remaining in this third quarter. The Warriors down by 6. And my apologies, that will be an 8-meter mark, not a 12-meter mark. It'll be an 8-meter mark from the top of the key.
So now a big free position here for the Wilton Warriors. As Leung takes it inside, that's going to be a shot and saved by Hope Schudel, who maybe hasn't had to do a ton today, but makes a nice save there. And he's going to give it back over to Von Kennel.
I mean, it's definitely hard for goalies if they're not seeing that many shots to have one shot that they weren't really prepared for, but Hope Schudel proves that she really doesn't need the warm-up. She is a naturally talented goalie.
You got to be a little bit naturally talented to be as good as she is. She's headed off to Duke next year, but she's been so good for this Blue Wave team. I know she's been solid all season throughout her time here at Darien High School. She's really held it down inside the cages, and that's one of the most important positions in lacrosse is the goalie.
I mean, yeah, even Jane Hughes. Both goalies definitely need some courage to stand in front of the net. Jane Hughes has been using her unprotected legs to stop balls all night.
Definitely some great efforts here by the goalies, as Hughes might be tested once again here as the offense of the Blue Wave gets set up. Pass inside to Von Kennel. Von Kennel shoots it. She's going to score. What a great 1-2. Adams to Von Kennel. And so the Blue Wave find goal number 9.
What a picture-perfect goal by Darien there. Really making sure to move the ball fast around and finding space to get a clear cut into the net.
What a quick release there from Von Kennel. Adams delivered the pass right on a platter to Von Kennel, and then immediately, she didn't even cradle once. She just caught the ball, immediately shot. Great quick hands from Von Kennel, and no chance for Hughes to stop that one. Von Kennel streaking down the field wide open.
Yeah, I mean, only a sophomore, but she has been making the difference on the field since freshman year, and we'll see her more in the next 2 years that she plays, and most likely on to D1 college.
So a big goal there for the Blue Waves. They extend their lead. And off the draw, the Warriors will gain the possession. As that one's going to be.
If you're the Warriors, you got to rush it here a little bit. About just a little bit over 10 seconds left in this third quarter. You got to move the ball. You got to get closer to the net. Two Wilton girls just standing there. Why are they just standing there not moving? The shot from the distance, you got to think, not able to get a shot off, and an offensive failure there from the Warriors.
Yeah, definitely a little confusion there at the end of the third quarter for the Warriors, but Blue Wave definitely not confused as they end up scoring 3 more goals in this third quarter and extend their lead to 9-2. And we will be right back here on the DAF Media Network, joint venture between the Darien Athletic Foundation and the Darien Foundation. We'll be right back here for fourth quarter action in this Girls FCIAC semifinal.
This broadcast is produced by DAF Media, a joint venture between the Darien Foundation and the Darien Athletic Foundation. The production is staffed by student and adult volunteers from the town of Darien and southwestern Connecticut.
And welcome back here to Brien McMahon High School as we get ready to tip off the final quarter in this girls FCIAC semifinal matchup between Darien Blue Wave and the Wilton Warriors. Score is 9-2 Blue Wave. As we get ready for the opening draw. This one is going to go to the Blue Wave as Stafford will take it at midfield.
Definitely one thing that's pushed Darien through this game is their ability to win the draw. That's very new for Darien, and it's probably just been the hard practice that they've had these lineup of games, and I think it's really worked, and hopefully they'll go into it if they make it past the semifinal.
Yes, Darien definitely looking like the more prepared team here as they look like they're setting up a play here out of the break. Holmes with it. Holmes going to give it over to Reynolds. Blue Wave moving through. As Von Kennel now will take it and passes it back out to Reynolds. And here comes Stafford inside, and she's going to score. Quick move from Stafford to the inside. And so the Blue Wave will find double digits in the goal column.
Yeah, yet another amazing play by Darien. Sadie was really able to make the defense think that she was going for the stack on the side of the field, but she found that opening and dodged quick and to find that shot. Just proof of an amazing player, especially that switch of hands. She really had the defense thinking she was going the other way.
Yeah, it definitely felt like Darien maybe was trying to set that up a little more, waste some more clock here. So no, open up the fourth quarter, but Stafford wasting no time here and putting another one away for herself and the Blue Wave offense. So now back up at the draw circle.
No stop for Wilton, though. They still got about 11 minutes to score 8 goals, which is just enough time.
As here comes Patillo.
You got to wonder when they're just going to start firing up shots on shootout, right? Just start taking those shots instead of waiting for the shot and then getting the ball checked out of your stick. You got to wonder when they're just going to start firing.
Yeah, I mean, never say never. They still got this time, and we are seeing them move right now. Maybe they got the momentum for that.
Well, if they didn't have the momentum, they might have it now as they're going to get a free position here at the 8-meter arc. Looks like Leung with it.
Wilton crowd unhappy with that play.
Leung goes inside. She shoots. She scores.
Here we go. Maybe I predicted it. They got 10 minutes for 7 more goals to tie it up. See if this goal was the one to get them in that mindset and really push them through this goal. Well, Darien has been doing very well all game and can still keep it up at this score.
Definitely could be a start to a big turnaround for this Warrior team in this final 10 minutes. But every draw, every play, every offensive possession here is huge for the Warriors. They can't waste any opportunity, and they want to get back into this one.
Big draw control here coming up, whichever team controls this. I think it'll be definitely interesting because if Darien controls it, right, they automatically move into the offense. But here comes the Warriors after just scoring off the Leung 8-meter mark. Here are the Warriors climbing back into this game. Need to score a couple more goals to keep the offense rolling.
So Warriors definitely going to have to show more aggression here on the offensive side.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing Darien still stay very high pressure on Wilton, which is causing them to kind of fumble with the ball a little bit.
Darien defense definitely understands how deadly this Wilton offense could be if they get rolling. As they check Patillo inside, it looks like.
Yeah, again, Brindley Vrooman. She's been having an amazing game all night.
Talk about a defensive masterclass. You get the result of this game so far. I mean, the Blue Wave defense have done a insanely good job on the ride, as well as just really playing solid defense throughout the game, right? And on the defense, they're locking up Pantillo, and then they're also forcing the ball out of her hands, and then also doing a great job on the checks. You've seen it time and time again, unforced errors, as well as forced errors on the Warriors.
Yeah, I mean, while Darien did lose to Wilton last game, they were able to find Patillo's weakness, and they've been seeming to put triple teams and double teams on her to win the ball.
Darien definitely making the adjustments coming into this game, learning from their previous matchups. As their offense once again settles down. Stafford with it, looking inside. Now to Von Kennel. Von Kennel going to pass it over. Now inside to Holmes. Holmes going to shoot, and that one's going to be saved by Hughes. Big save as she tries to get her team going once again on the offensive side.
Yeah, amazing save. She was able to watch those cuts from back and forth and stay with the ball.
Barella surviving the ride of the Blue Wave, and she's going to take it all the way herself. Tries to pass it off, and that one's going to be a foul on the Blue Wave.
Great job there from the Warriors, right? Move the ball from the defense to the offensive zone, then draw the 8-meter mark. And there's still enough time, 7 minutes and 50 seconds remaining, down by 7, but an 8-meter mark awaiting us right now.
So Bilella on the 8-meter mark. Here she comes inside. Now it's going to be a goal. So maybe some signs of life here for Wilton offense that was dormant throughout most of this game.
Yeah, I mean, this is truly when the games gets interesting, and really all they want is to put it all out on the field, and Wilton's found that momentum and is truly trying with these 7 minutes and 30 seconds left to go.
And if you're the Blue Wave, right, this is where you want to shut the door. You want to shut the door on the game, close out this game. You want to say no to Wilton's offense. You want to get a good, nice offensive possession, meaty offensive possession where you move the ball around a little bit, take off some time off the clock. 7 minutes, 37 seconds left. But if you can take it down, win the draw right then, take it down to 4 minutes, that's where you really start to put pressure on Wilton. If it's not already on them, just kind of grind it up, right? Grind down their defense and settle things down. If you're the Blue Wave, that's what you need to do.
Yeah, I mean, like you were saying with shot clock, there's no shot clock in this game. So Darien could truly just hold the ball for the rest of the 7 minutes, and Wilton could not see possession at all. But we do see Darien continue to switching their draw circle to find their best position taker.
Now on the draw here. Another big one coming up.
Each draw more important than the last. This
That
one won by Wilton yet again.
Took a bounce off a couple of Darien players, and Masterson able to come out with that one. And that one's going to be another foul on the Blue Wave as they are desperate to get possession back.
This is where we start to see the game get a little physical and people get a little frisky. They're going to want to get the ball, and Darien's starting to freak out a little bit about this momentum Wilton has picked up.
And Batillo way wide with the shot, but possession stays with the Warriors. Bilella with it, trying to go down the center, gives it to Patella. Excuse me, Patillo. It's now Patillo inside. She shoots and she scores.
What a ridiculous shot there from Pantillo. You'll see on the replay, she knifes her way inside, takes the ball, then keeps the ball up high, and then takes almost a backhand shot. As you see right there, then brings it, kind of shuts the door, almost like closing a garage door, just brings her hands down, bounce shot right past Shudell, but what a shot there from Pantillo.
Yeah, just swimming through defenders to get the goal. As with 6.5 to go, that's going to be, looks like a timeout's going to be called.
What a shot there from Pantillo. Again, just bringing the hands from the top all the way down, ripping one past Shudell, and a smart timeout here by Coach Lisa Lindley right now. The lead is 5. There's still 6 minutes and 30 seconds left. But if you're Coach Lindley, you just got to stay calm, right? Your team still up by 5. You just need a good offensive possession, but you have to win the draw. This is where the game's going to be made, right? If Wilton can continue winning these draws, they're going to keep getting offensive opportunities. But if Darien can win 1, maybe even 2, and just shut the door, they can move on to the FCIAC Championship, where they'll face New Canaan for the 5th consecutive year in a row.
Yeah, I mean, we see Darien taking their time out, really they're probably talking about slowing the game down and finding their possession, where Wilton's trying to keep their momentum going, and they're trying to fire up their team to score these 5 goals in 6 minutes, which is definitely plenty of time to tie the game up and get to this final.
So despite not having the momentum on their side, the Blue Wave definitely still have the clock on their side, which is important for them to remember as they come out of the timeout.
They definitely have a lot of energy from the crowd as well. The crowd doing a great job kind of getting some energy, trying to inspire the Warriors to close out this game.
So the Warriors scored about 3 goals in, I think, about 3.5 minutes after Darien put up 10.
Gotta wonder, where was this offense from the Warriors just a little bit earlier in the game, but they win another draw. And here come the Warriors yet again.
And that one's gonna be looks like a timeout from the Warriors.
Oh, it looks like a card.
Or no, sorry, yeah, a card. And Coach Lindley is livid on the sideline. So Wilton with a man-up situation.
Yeah, this is exactly what Wilton wants for this opportunity.
You have 2 minutes, 6 minutes, and 21 seconds remaining. You'll have 2 minutes with the man up, and that clock, that power play doesn't disappear if you score like it does in hockey. Instead, it stays on, so you have a true man up advantage for 2 whole minutes.
So could have a man up for possibly 2 offensive possessions here if they score quick enough. And that one's going to be shot inside. Big save by Shudell, as she nearly gets checked from behind, and she's going to give it away. So Bilella with it now, and Bilella is off the pass, and that one's going to go high.
Careless pass if you're the Warriors. No need to rush the offensive possession there. After you get the ball back, you get the ball back off an uncharacteristic Darien turnover, and then you take the long-range shot, and here the Blue Wave fumbling with the ball a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, possession is key. And this is where we see Darien go into the offensive zone, but not to mention they are man down, so we're going to want to see Wilton double team them and really try to keep high pressure to get the ball back.
You're just going to see the Blue Wave play hot potato with this ball, right? Move the ball around. No need to rush. You just got to be careful of that sideline and stepping out.
So the Blue Wave finally finding the possession for themselves here. They're going to try to milk the clock once again, but this Wilton defense coming out more aggressive than ever, and as seen by the foul there.
Yeah, fast movement is definitely going to kill this penalty and really make sure Darien keeps possession. Looks like the ref's having a little bit of trouble.
So it looks like Coach Lindley is going to get a warning on the sideline, and that one's actually going to stay here with the Blue Wave. So Holmes with it. She passes it back over to the Expedition Picorni. Now back to Holmes. And
that looks like it's going to be a running pick. Moving pick, sorry.
So moving pick on the Blue Wave offense. Really unneeded there. So Wilton going to get it back, but Darien managed to waste 2 minutes of precious time for this Warrior squad.
I mean, this is where Darien really wants the ball back, and we're starting to get a little bit angry at these ref calls, but Wilton is able to play through and find possession.
Yeah, and you mentioned your Darien, right? You're up by 5. You have 4 minutes and 13 seconds left. That 2-minute possession is exactly what you needed. You didn't need a goal, although most will say that an offensive possession, to be successful, has to have a goal. That was a successful offensive possession where they just killed a bunch of killed a bunch of time off the clock. And then now, right, you just have to have one more really good defensive stop. Hope Shudell had the save on the last possession. If you can get another save out of Hope Shudell, you'll be in a really good spot to close this one out and move on to the FCIAC Championship.
Yeah, Wilton going to have to average a goal in less than a minute here. And that's assuming they have the ball the whole time. So they'll have the ball coming out of the timeout, but definitely a lot of work to do, and they're going to be in desperation mode, as you mentioned before, John, with just maybe just going to have to start putting up shots against Shudell and just hoping that one of them, or I guess for them, 5 of them fall through.
You got to hope that they get past hope. If you're the Warriors right now, you're down by 5, 4 minutes and 13 seconds left in this game. The lights are out. Nice, beautiful sky here at the campus of the Brien McMahon Senators here at Jack Casa Grande Field.
I believe that's Casa Grande Field.
I think you're right on that one, Parker. Jack Casagrande Field. So out of the timeout Both teams going to break their huddle. So the Warriors going to look for a quick possession, try to drop a play that's going to get them a quick goal as they try to keep their hopes alive of making it to the FCIAC final.
I mean, tell me I'm wrong, but this is the game, exactly the game that we wanted. This close rivalry and this game to the finals of FCIAC is truly the best game to watch, especially with this high competition and good players.
So now Patillo inside, and she's going to score. So in 30 seconds out of the timeout, the Warriors are going to score. So once again, an even more important draw coming up here as they're going to try to gain possession, and they're going to put up their 4th unanswered goal.
The Warriors are applying a little pressure here, making this game interesting. We saw the Blue Wave up 10-2 just a couple moments ago. Now the Blue Waves, or the Warriors, storming back into this game, led behind the offense of Patillo. You know, we talked about her. We didn't see her much in the first half. This is the game that we were expecting from the Blue Wave and their offense and Patillo. And now she's starting to finally come alive.
Now on the draw here. This possession going to be gained by the Blue Wave. As Stafford's going to pick it up. And she's going to take it down now. So the Blue Wave going to swing it around back up to the top.
Yeah, Blue Wave continuing to, looks like they're settling their offense and making sure they're not going to lose the ball and any careless mistakes.
And now Hapgood with it. Going to give it off to Holmes. Holmes make a quick move, gets it back to Hapgood.
Yeah, and Wilton's defense has changed by the end of this game. Looks like they're playing high pressure and they're playing backer defense, which is definitely a smart play if they want possession.
So now Stafford getting forced wide. For the Blue Wave still milking this clock out as a minute has gone off since the draw.
It'll be interesting too if you're the Blue Wave, right? When you see Hughes come out of the crease and come and act as that extra defender, at what point will that happen?
.230 to go with a Darien lead of 4. It looks like Wilton's running out of time to find those 4 goals to tie up the game. So it's interesting to see what Wilton's going to look like in these next 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yeah, it might just be a little too late for Wilton here as their offense just sparked just a little bit too late in this one. As this Darien squad is going to set up for another possession here where they're just going to try to kill as much time off the clock as possible, and nearly a nice turnover there for the for the Warriors, but penalty called. So Blue Wave will have it on the far side of the field. That is Stafford on the ball. Stafford's going to bring it to X. So it's just going to be forced wide. Stafford just doing a lot of running around. She's going to give it off to Von Kennel. Von Kennel going to try to use her speed to evade the Wilton defenders. But now this clock ticks under 2 minutes.
Yeah, this is where we see
inside, and that one's going to be Von Kennel to Adams. Adams found wide open space on the inside, and that one is going to be what feels like the game-ending shot, and the one that puts it away for the Blue Wave as they extend their lead to 11-6.
That could be the dagger there. You see the Blue Wave offense thriving almost in a little bit of a transition set, right, where you got a little bit of a 2-on-1 coming down, screaming down the middle, and Von Kennel just dishes it off to her teammate, and it works out just in their favor. The Blue Wave come out on top. Right now they're up 11-6, and that very well could be the dagger with 1 minute 37 seconds remaining.
I mean, yeah, before that play, I was going to say that this is where the Wilton defense becomes a little chaotic, really wanting to try to stop the ball, and that's exactly what Darien was able to and get the advantage off of.
So Wilton going to win that draw. Patillo looks like she may have had a chance towards goal, but bails out of it. So now Wilton just got to swing this one around. Warriors looking inside, and that one's going to be a turnover.
That'll be a crease violation. And the Blue Wave will gain possession here, 1 minute and 2 seconds remaining.
So now as the clock ticks under a minute, Lissima will have it, gives it off to Holmes. Holmes through to Stafford. Stafford didn't see the defender. And she's going to get fouled. So just 40 seconds to go. Stafford with it. Stafford gives it off. Now on the inside, and that one's going to be checked out of the stick of Picorni, but penalty called. So both teams fighting to the very end, which is always something you want to see. Picorni will give it off. Is that Hapgood? Hapgood running around to the X position now. Gives it to Holmes. Holmes looks inside, and she's going to score. As the Blue Wave get their 12th goal on the night with just 14 seconds left in this one.
Blue Wave just tacking on goals right now. Now makes it 12-6, doubling the score of the Warriors. But you mentioned the Warriors' effort to come back was definitely valiant. They just couldn't get enough, a little bit too much, too late. Now find themselves down by 6 with 14 seconds left, and it looks like it's almost a guarantee that Darien will move on to play New Canaan in the FCIAC Championship, a 3-seed Darien playing at a neutral site back here on Wednesday at 7 o'clock to face off against New Canaan with the FCIAC Championship on the line.
Yeah, I mean, what a game Darien had compared to the game they played against Wilton early May. They really came out here and made sure to start early, bringing out their semi-win.
As the time expires, the Blue Wave will get the win, and we will see the Darien-New Canaan rivalry in a rematch of last year's FCIAC final, which the Blue Wave won last year, and we'll finally get the end to the tie regular season game that we all wanted in that double overtime thriller. That 5-5 tie earlier in the season will finally get a winner as they will meet each other here back at Brien McMahon High School in just a couple days' time. And John and Parker, what do you think the Blue Wave have to do going into that game to come out with a win over a great New Canaan squad?
Well, I think going into Wednesday's game, Darien really had a great game the first time the teams met, and they did one thing that no other team has been able to do yet. They stopped Devin Russell and Lexi Tully while also limiting the other offensive options of the Rams, right? They would double up the player at the top of the key, and then they'd slide perfectly and then slide cover. And it was just a great all-around performance from the Blue Wave in that first game. They're going to have to do that again, and they're going to have to find some offense, and they're going to have to figure out how to score goals against the New Canaan defense.
Yeah, I mean, definitely losing to Wilton the first time gave them this energy to come out and want to win. Maybe the tie against New Canaan is going to want Darien to move on and beat them for another time.
So with that conclusion of the game, I just want to give a big shout out to today's crew: Dalton Moss on graphics, Ava Stone on instant replay, Declan Cunningham, Sriram Pankenti, Leon Chen, and Charlotte Kaiser on cameras. Parker Crody and John Frieders join alongside me on commentary. I'm Thomas Aponte, and of course a big shout out to our advisor, Damian Andrew, who also did a great job directing today. And once again, you're watching today's coverage of girls FCIAC semifinal between Darien Blue Wave and Wilton Warriors on the DAF Media Network, joint venture between the Darien Foundation and the Darien Athletic Foundation. Thank you all, everyone at home, for joining us here tonight on what was a beautiful evening and a great game. And I wish you all a good night.